This is part two.
Here we are.
This is part two. We're going to have a look at the Moonee Valley Review. So before we have a look at race by race, I was tortured. You didn't have a good day, but what's your approach when you're not having a good day, Potts?
Okay, so I just want to share with the punters out there how I deal with these things, because like when you're having a brutal day on the punt, I think there are some important skills that you can develop over time that will really help you.
Yep.
Okay, the best way I can describe it, the best anecdote I can give is to think about it in a zoom in, zoom out approach.
Yep.
Okay, which I'll explain. So I always have in the back of my mind what my 1 year approach is. So over the course of a year, I'll speak in nice round figures here so everyone can do their own maths and cut the cloth to their own situation. But let's just say your betting bank is $100,000. So I'm giving you my 12-month overview here, my zoomed out approach. Yep. Your punting bank's at $100,000, right? So my approach is to turn my bank over 10 times a year. Okay, that's one of my goals, and to try and achieve a profit on turnover of 10%. Okay. So if I do that, I double my bank each year. Yep. Right? Well, that's the way it works. If you make 5% on turnover, your bank goes from 100 to 150. So that's the approach. Now, then when I zoom into each month, I always have at the back of my mind what my position is that particular month today.
Yep.
And I'd been having a really good month prior to that meeting. So, and all the units I bet on Saturday, I'd put in play about 7% of my bank.
Yes.
So I remember that, you know what I mean? So, like, even if it's a complete strip out, which it was close to, the worst case scenario is you're putting a dent in your bank of 7%, right? Now, I'd won more than that on Wednesday at Sandown, right? So you've got to keep it in balance. So as soon as things start going pear-shaped and you're having one of those really tough days, and when you're in the zoom-in situation, race by race, and what's happened in that race, and you're angry with that jockey, or this has happened or whatever, and you're feeling quite emotional, as soon as I'm thinking like that, before I ever let it have any impact on any betting decision I make, I just zoom right back out and just remember what my annual approach is, where I am that month, and I don't let that impact any of my decisions on that day.
Yep.
Right. Now, the reason I do that, and this is the part of the message I want to get to the punters out there, is because the corporates, the bookmakers, want you to do exactly the opposite.
100%.
They want you to react to the emotions you're feeling on that day. They want you to chase. Yep. They want you to put your bank. They want you to have a huge bet on Leodoro in the last. Right. That's what they're after. So I'm saying, in that situation where things are going wrong and everything else, the best thing to do is to actually cut your bet in half if you can on Leodoro. You know, bet half what you normally would or whatever. But so anyway, that's and then you do that. And then you start again the next day. So I got up yesterday, did all the form, did 4 or 5 races at Sale. Found one race I really liked, sent it out, and we backed a really nice winner, Elegant Queen, at nearly $10. So, you know, and you bounce back and you finish the week. And I look back at last week, and in the end, all things considered, all the wild emotional rides of the whole week, it was a good winning week. And I start again today.
And actually, I didn't hear. I reckon you spoke about your overview of your bank for a year, about 6 weeks ago, 10 weeks ago, doesn't matter. And I wasn't with you. I don't know who you guys had at the time, but it actually then linked into something else. You had Dan Kelly on and said, you've got to look at your MO, your modus operandi. What I send out every week is 150 units, every Saturday. I don't want any customer who doesn't understand that Moonee Valley in June is a bit different to Caulfield Guineas Day. But I just want to get the retail people who go, I feel like having a bet. But that's my MO. Your MO is the whole year approach of investing more than punting, if you like. And
that's the subscribers I'm looking for. So they're different to the ones you're looking for. The ones I'm looking for are people that want to, in a way, go to war with you every week, and they understand there's a wider view when you're trying to make a profit over a year. You have to be passionate about racing to do all the work. So there is an enjoyment of racing attached to it, but you're controlling your behaviour in a way that leads to consistent turnover and long-term profits over the course of a year, which allows you to deal with days like Saturday.
And the other thing I think is important, using the Air Reno example, and on the day where the track's a bit dodgy, after each race when you talk about your zoom in, zoom out approach, I think you have to say, I'll get a letter out that I've got. Did I get this wrong because of my analysis? Did I get this wrong because I read the track wrong? Did I get this wrong because shit happens in racing?
That's a shit happens category.
Correct.
That's all it is.
And so you keep your your emotions in check. Let me get this one out, Potts, just while I think of it, because I'm really interested in your approach here, because it involves the post-meeting analysis, which I'm very passionate about, and I just happened to get this randomly sent to me this morning by a bloke called, it's called Chris, who said, he had a bad day too. Hang on, you'll like this. We'll have to do this in 3 parts. I certainly got a ride from both sides of the track at the Monmouth Valley Gripe. He sent something after the meeting. On the title of my email, a question which has long vexed me. At the end of the day's racing, where the most unlikely, or at least not so likely, runners surprise us and get the chocolates. That was pretty much the profile of the day, and was at Flemington 3 weeks ago.
Yep.
I've often wondered, do any form students reverse engineer and try to work out why? The purist might say, who gives a fuck, it's all over, but is there anything to be said about the concept that may enlighten us for future form analysis? So basically, I think he's questioning, what's the importance, do I rate, of post-meeting analysis?
Post-meeting, so in his words, reverse engineer it, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I look at every race, at the results, how that result came to pass, my analysis of the race, pre-race analysis, and did I completely make a mess of it, or was my approach, could it have won if they ran the race, more times? Because I mean, in reality, they only run each race once. So assessing the actual probabilities in racing is a vexed question. You know what I mean? Like, if we're tossing a coin, we know it's 50-50, right? The right price is $2.
Yeah.
So if you get 220, about a $2 chance, and you keep backing it and you stake correctly, you'll make a lot of money, right? So that's what I'm trying to do. So I analyse the race post and say, now I outlaid, from memory, 71 units on Saturday and finished the day minus 65, right? So it's a pretty bad day. But I look at those set of bets and I can actually see several ways how they could have won. The results just didn't fall that way. And I think you run a lot of those races again and you would... there was such little things in each race that changed the result, you know what I mean? And so the probability of those outcomes was, as I said before, high on the random scale.
So this week I'm going to do a newsletter outlining, because I had a strip out. I think it's something good to do to your customers, whatever, again, you're remote. But absolutely you should do that, because you will, and it's different saying, well, it's Chris's term, reverse engineering. Yeah. That is totally different to hindsight bias, where you go, I should have done this, because I should have thought this way. You should ask yourself, was my thinking wrong, or did outcomes happen that I wasn't expecting, that I should have expected, or that it was fair enough not to expect? I was on Hersley each way. Yeah. Did you like Hersley?
I chopped out on Hersley. His run didn't surprise me one bit. He sort of ran exactly the race I sort of expected him to run.
I'm not sure I'd change my bet knowing the way the track played.
I'll give Chris a really good example of the sort of decisions that racing proposes to you that can tie you in knots, you know what I mean? Yeah. And in the end, racing's full of decisions that are really easy to fuck up in the end. So in that race, I thought there was a good opportunity for a back marker in that race if they come through the field.
Yes.
Right. Now, because of the two back markers in the race were going to be Extra Zero and Black Tomahawk. It was clear to me that Extra Zero was going to get the position on the fence. And was the one more likely to come through the field. But at a certain point in the race, Jake Bayliss made a completely reasonable decision to just ease half a horse off the fence.
On Extra Zero,
which allowed Black Tomahawk to sneak up inside him, and thereby they swapped their finishing positions. So I think if they had stayed where they were and Jake had chosen that option, he probably would have got in the finish and Black Tomahawk would have finished a length off.
Did you give Black Tomahawk a price?
Well, the only reason I didn't back it, that horse, I marked it 20 to 1, right? The only reason I didn't back it was because I thought the presence of Extra Zero in the race meant that it was going to make it hard for Black Tomahawk to win, even if everything went right.
Well, it shows you the torture that you go through in this case, because my reading of it, about Hersley, about the 3 off that we said, once you get 3 off, you're fucked. So Craig Williams is beautifully poised, he's 2 off. Then at the 600, I thought, well, he's not going to peel out now because he knows how the track's racing. To the 3 wide, and through comes Black Tomahawk, and the Kiwi horse, Mesa Price, just keeps taking the runs. So that's the game.
It is, that's right. And this, again, when we talk about jockeys, this is the difficulty they face on a track like that when the fields are a bit too big. There's not enough space. Craig made the opposite decision that Beau made. Craig decided to peel a bit earlier
Yep.
because it was the percentage play.
Yeah.
But as soon as you did that, it cost you a length or two.
That's it.
Right? So,
That's it.
and
Yeah.
you're more likely to do that on a horse in the market than you are on one that's out of the market. So that's why I was happy to back Extra Zero, because I thought he'd be ridden for luck.
Yeah.
And I'm sort of a bit, questioning myself why I didn't also include Black Tomahawk,
Yep.
because I
And
considered it.
that's
so.
the difference between hindsight bias and,
Yes.
reverse engineering. But I think in simple terms is the more work you do post-meeting, the less you have to do looking forward. I like using
Yeah.
the footy analogy when
That's
the coach has got
100% correct.
the whiteboard and the magnets and the players
Yeah.
and all that. If you've done your post work properly, what you then do when the magnets are or the fields is all you have to do is say, well, where's this going to be in the run, because you've assessed their talent.
Yeah.
If you don't do your post meeting properly, what's a third mean? What's a fifth mean? What's being on the rails mean? And you're just watching a replay, it means nothing to you. So
Yeah.
post meeting is absolutely everything. Do you want to do race by race?
So I'll just, we will. I'll just
Yeah.
say to Chris, again, to further answer his question, I review somewhere between 80 and 100 races a week, depending on
Yep.
how many interstate races I have to do. And I bet in about 20 to 25. So that gives you an idea of the amount of time I spend reviewing stuff, and then how much time I spend actually analysing races to bet in them.
I'll
So-
back you to finish it, but I can't remember. It's either Daniel Kahneman or Philip Tedlock, the super forecasting. I think it was super forecasting, but they said the real experts who get the ticks are the ones who say, I don't know. When it comes to predictive
Yeah,
analysis.
yeah.
And that's the same with what you're saying. You're saying, well, basically you've said there's 3/4 of your races that you're saying, I don't know. I'm not confident enough to put my own money down.
No, well, I don't. I mean, I'm saying I review those races.
Okay, but
No, I haven't previewed them. So
But you're only betting in quarter of the races that you look at.
No.
sorry.
I'm reviewing those races.
Yes.
So, I mean, before the meeting, I haven't looked at them.
Ah,
Right, so each week, I
Yeah.
do most of that work on Sundays and Mondays,
Yep.
right? I review about 100 races where
Yep.
I watch the video, I look at all the sectional times, I
Yep.
break them apart, because I want to know all those horses intimately
Yes.
as they feed into the 20-odd races a week that I bet in.
Spot on.
So, so I'm sorry I wasn't clear. Yep. All good, that'll do us for part 2.